Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. It's in the description below. Reach out to me for pricing, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, from the classic round collection, we have the Franck Muller double face, and it is quite literally that, as the timepiece includes two functional dials, one on each of its sides. 43 millimeters in stainless steel, the watch is 14.8 millimeters thick and 51.1 lug-to-lug, with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and I recommend wearing this watch on a wrist no smaller than mine. Though it might fit on 15 centimeters circumference, I think it would look a bit goofy, and the proportions would be off. On my wrist size or larger, I think you're good to go. Now, as you can see, in spite of its thickness, it will slide underneath the cuff, as it has a nicely rounded bezel, so a cuff can ramp over its side. The timepiece is substantial, and so is the strap. As you can see, you have medium rectangular scale alligator leather on the top. It's black. It features a sheer side showing the layers of construction, a monotone stitch. It's very minutely bolstered. There is some stuffing to give it volume, and you can see on the underside there is calfskin, and this is a Franck Muller factory strap in outstanding condition. There's a simple no-nonsense pin buckle in steel with a sort of fluted horseshoe form, and then rolling back to the case, you can see that the lugs jut straight out from the case and that the strap is held to the case using screws and bars, which is a somewhat more expensive but also more upscale and more secure way of attaching a strap to the case. You can also see one consideration to smaller wrists. The lugs are actually drilled fairly close to the case, and a curved spring bar is used so that the strap isn't impeded by the flank of the case. It can pull straight down on both sides. It doesn't flare out and fight you. Outstanding condition all the way around. You can see there's an overlap of the lip of the case back and the bezel that forms the boundary of the mid case. It's all in high polish. You have pump style pushers, and then you have a coaxial Rattrapante trigger that is built into the crown. The coax trigger allows you to activate the split second function, and it's an unusual dial in that underneath the guilloche center you can actually see the hours and the minutes on a sub-register, while the dial itself is given over primarily to chronograph functions. Now, you could see that there is a tachymeter scale on the dial, but we're going to actually double down or maybe even triple down when we get to the reverse side of the watch. Take note that to reduce distortion, optical distortion, the two chronograph seconds hands have been rolled on a miniature rolling pin to curve them at their end. Now, the dial is handsomely detailed with sunken sub-registers and that billowing rose lathe style guilloche pattern, but when you turn it over, you realize just how involved these dials are. This is a triple scale on the reverse side. You have a tachymeter, but you also have a telemeter, and you also have a pulsation scale. The way the pulsation scale works is you start the chronograph, and then you count to 15 pulses, and then you stop the chronograph, and wherever it stops along this outer scale is the patient's beats per minute. Then inboard, you can see there's a telemeter. Now, this is used to gauge distance, and it comes from the world of field artillery. You use the known speed of sound at sea level, along with the difference between the time you see the impact and the time you hear the report. You stop the chronograph, and that gives you the distance in kilometers to the impact. And then finally, inboard, you have the best known of these three scales, the tachymeter, which is used to gauge the speed of an object, for example, over 1 kilometer. Inside the case is a heavily modified Valjoux 7750 unidirectional automatic winding with a platinum rotor mass for higher efficiency. That is one of the changes Franck Muller makes. It features a 44-hour power reserve. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's modified to include the split-second functionality, as well as the sub-dial for the hours and minutes, and then it retains the underlying movements, hacking or stop seconds function. The timepiece does have 30 meters of water resistance, so though it is large and sporty, it is properly classified as a sporty dress complication. Reach out to tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.